Thank you for joining for episode 5. Please remember, if you're enjoying this content, like, subscribe, and comment, as your engagement will help this channel grow. Let's go ahead and get started.
Think you are correct. They live multiple lives and get to choose what life they wanted to do. Don't get me wrong, genetics do pass on, but they literally look the same.
Of dudes that look like you. Okay. So they just think that you've been on the earth since you've just been around. There's just different generations. I just wanted to show you, just in case.
We're all stardust, baby.
I know, that's it.
You know.
What is my name? Look at this.
Okay, so what do we got?
What do you think?
What is this? In the beard and the cheekbones. And the forehead.
Look at that guy. That's a French actor, Paul Monet.
Yeah, we have the same foreheadish eyebrow, I think.
But that's the real...
Oh.
No, I kind of see a little bit of it.
Got the eyes.
I added this video today because I do think that reincarnation is possible. While I'm not sure if celebrities are reincarnating over and over into an identical body, or that they're retaining their memories, I certainly think the idea of reincarnation itself is very possible. I also understand that there's only so many combinations of the human face. In fact, today they say that somewhere out there right now is your identical doppelganger. It makes me lean towards that being the case, but it's still fun to think about. So it may just be coincidence and there's nothing to this. I do think it's fun when I see these comparisons of celebrities to their past selves, especially the ones about Taylor Swift being compared to that satanic cult witch. I wouldn't be surprised if there were a few elites who have found a way to survive through the ages through some kind of occult magic or weird science. But what do you guys think? Are some celebrities reincarnating over and over, or are they surviving throughout the ages and just changing their identity? Or is it just a coincidence? Let me know in the comments.
You ever been down the Paramount rabbit hole? Yeah, watch these 22 stars go and hover over the waters and then congregate over the Paramount. Para means what? Means breath. Breath means what? Well, breath means spirit, and it hovered over the waters in Genesis. So we have, count them, 22 stars, Paramount, Paranormal Mountain. What could be the Paranormal Mountain? Well, I'll tell you what, it's Mount Hermon. What's crazy is, in the book of Enoch, 200 angels fell on Mount Hermon and congregated, and there was 22 leaders that were named. Enoch chapter 6, and you can pause and read, but 200 angels, 22 of those were named, and these are all the angels that fell down and congregated at Mount Hermon to talk about how they were going to basically take over the world with unrighteousness. I'm not going to leave you guys hanging. I'll give you the opportunity to pause and read all of this, because in Enoch chapter 6 through 10, there's some interesting things that I personally feel like speak to what's going on right now. And when it comes to stars, Revelation 9 talks about a star fell from heaven and he was given the key to the bottomless pit. And Revelation 9:11 talks about Apollyon. Mount Hermon means the mountain of the chief. What chief? Could it be that chief star that looked like lightning falling from heaven? Hey, Yeshua saw it. It's so funny that stars, falling stars, are referred to as angels and angels referred to as stars. And you got this Paramount with 22 of these named stars, and the name Hermon meaning devoted to destruction. And in German it means soldier. So this is the mountain of the chief, where 22 soldiers met to talk about destruction. And it's so weird that celebrities are called stars. And there's the Hollywood Walk of Fame with all of these stars that are named. I'm wondering if these fallen angels have inhabited bodies and taken over to bring more destruction to the earth. Because it seems that Hollywood and the music industry, they all promote unrighteousness and ungodliness, and it's like they're trying to spread it across the world. And if this Paramount is paying homage to this situation that happened in the book of Enoch, well, then that would have to mean that they know exactly what they are doing, and they're doing it on purpose. This is just the tip of the iceberg, because every 22 of these leader angels that are named, Their names have meanings. They lead the 200 fallen angels that bring unrighteousness to the world. All the evil, the freaking magic, and all this crazy stuff that's going on. Superb owl, rituals, and all this creepy Masonic ritual. Oh, did you know that Mount Hermon is actually on the 33-degree north longitude? 33. Oh, and 1/3 of the angels fell with Lucifer, and 1/3 out of 100% just so happens to be 33.33%. This is just to get you started. Start going down this rabbit hole. Find out for yourself. Look, they know what they're doing. They're paying homage to these fallen angels because, hey, they might just be the fallen angels. So next time you see a falling star, don't wish upon it.
I really enjoy Seven Club's content. I think he does a very good job of creating a well thought out argument for all of his various theories. I don't necessarily agree with all of them. He does lose me in the flat earth stuff, but overall, I thoroughly enjoy what he creates. On this topic, I completely agree with him. I do think that the Paramount logo and the stars are in reference to the fallen angels in Mount Hermon. This is something Hollywood does all the time, as it appears symbolism is very important to our world elites. They believe sincerely in the occult, but unfortunately tend to go towards the darker side of it. This video struck a particular chord with me because I have been feeling a pull back to faith over the last couple of months. Mind you, I've spent my entire adult life as an agnostic or atheist with no real faith or religion to speak of. But lately, I feel like it only makes sense that there's something greater out there. I find it very curious that the United Nations has a base at the top of Mount Hermon that also appears to go several levels underground. Why do world governments have a base at the top of it, the so-called Paranormal Mountain? When I hear stuff like that, and I hear things such as the Rothschilds building a mansion around one of those altars, apparently to Lucifer or some such entity, things like this really make me wonder why our elites believe so sincerely. Is there actually something to the occult and the magic that they supposedly practice? I think so, and I think that creates a better case for me as I'm making my journey back to faith. When our elites believe so sincerely in the supernatural and in the occult, it does make me more inclined to believe as well. I definitely think this is a good example of Hollywood symbolism. We see things like this in every movie, TV commercial. We see it in billboards, on street signs, in statues. It seems like those who practice the occult need to tell us. It's just a matter of whether or not we're paying attention or even have eyes to see.
Have you ever seen someone with dead eyes? Like, this is what Robert Greene has to say about it.
And as I said to you, I don't know if we were on air or not, but deep narcissists have dead eyes. They almost can't help it. They can fake the smile, they can fake everything else, but the eyes, you have to be able to read it because you say, well, what are dead eyes? You'll know it when you see it. There's no life in them. They're like looking through you. They're not looking at you. They're looking through you. What can I get of you? You're what they call a self-object. They're an object for you to use. And that's how they're looking at you, like they would look at our...
Okay, so I posted that a while back and the comments went crazy. Because I asked, and I'll ask again, like, do you know anybody with dead eyes? And one thing I just want to make sure that everybody knows is dead eyes does not just apply to one scenario. But what's interesting is when you take in these dark triad personalities, there's something there. So with these dark triad personalities, oftentimes they're wearing this mask. It's when they're trying to like present themselves being normal, if you will. And what Robert Greene was saying is like when they lock into kind of like those negative traits, they get these dead eyes or like shark eyes when they're using people as a tool. I've heard stories that people have been in like dangerous situations where they talk about the eyes of the aggressor going completely dark. But it's not always dark eyes, because a lot of times I think of this pastor, Kenneth Copeland, who just absolutely gives me the heebie-jeebies. I don't know, what do you guys think? Because the thing is, I totally understand that there's people with like autism that often are described as having like dead eyes, or there's people with Sampaku eyes that are often described as dead eyes. There's people that get like the 1,000-yard stare that have gone through trauma. This does not mean everyone with dead eyes is a narcissist. But it's just fascinating that a lot of times people with these dark triad personalities, when that mask comes off, one of the things that you will see is the dead eyes. It's the giveaway. It's the giveaway, right? The eyes are the light of the soul. I don't know. It just fascinates me.
I added this video because dead eyes just creep me out, with Kenneth Copeland being at the top of that list. The video I saw of him explaining his jet purchase to a reporter would be a perfect example. There was also some video recently of Usher that demonstrated dead eyes during some gala or art show. It's something I see very commonly in true believers. By this I mean people who have drank the Kool-Aid of whatever their ideology is. I most notably see it in Hollywood stars, politicians, and protesters. I've often wondered, could these people be NPCs? Could this be a sign of brainwashing? Could they be possessed by some otherworldly force? Is it a narcissistic or sociopathic mechanism, a predatory instinct? What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments. What's behind those eyes?
There's this video that I see on TikTok. You know how campfires, they kind of give off like a glare?
Yeah.
There was this grandpa holding his grandchild.
Yeah?
He was dancing around. The person on the opposite side of the campfire was taking a video. A lot of people are saying that it's the glare from the campfire, but the thing is, the child points out something dancing next to it in the video. So,
Let me see.
and it follows him. The caption is, "This is so scary. I know y'all see that thing following him."
Let me see.
Just wait. You see that?
Oh,
Don't look and just keep watching. Bam. It's like dancing.
Yo, it has
beside-
horns.
Yeah. Look. And then, oh
my
bam.
God.
Look, and the baby will point it out.
Yo, what the?
Now it's here. Look, the baby's looking at it. Look. He said, "Gamma, stop." And points at it, fam.
Oh my
Look.
God.
I want to say I believe this one. I think it's pretty common in folklore worldwide that fire attracts spirits. I understand dancing spirits is also common in many parts of the world. There are some places where they'll put masks on idols and do giant celebrations with music and dancing to try to summon ancestors, spirits, or deities. There's a couple of real cool videos I'll have to put a link to circulating where it shows some of these practices. They're really fun to watch. I think this video is definitely more credible as the kid points it out as well. As I've mentioned in other videos, I do think that children are attuned to that kind of stuff. I think that they can see, let's say, beyond the veil. At some point as they get older, they lose that ability, although maybe rarely some get to keep it. Perhaps those are the mediums or the psychics of the world today. And I do think there's something to the idea of fire attracting spirits and other entities. In this case, it seemed like a partying spirit, one that just really wanted to dance and enjoy the company. I think that's a good thing. I also understand how easy it is to fake this kind of video. I like to think that the child pointing it out adds a level of credibility, but it's also possible the child was pointing something else out and then they later added this in, intentionally using the kid as a prop. Was this really a ghost or a spirit, some kind of demon that was dancing with them? Or was this video faked and it was just some CGI? Or was it just the glare of the lens?
I have a set of stories and I'm gonna tell them to you. And you guys tell me, do you see a weird coincidence going on? This man, Dmitry Petronov, he invented a plasma battery that powered his home for 14 months in 2010. He went into a bakery and was never seen again. Zachary Warfield, another inventor who created his own plasma battery, visited Petronov to exchange info. He died in a boating accident that year. In 2004, a cold fusion expert and physicist Eugene Malov was set to make a public announcement about his findings, in which he claimed he developed a working prototype for a free energy device. He was beaten to death the day before his announcement. Stefan Marinov was a leader of the European free energy movement in 1997. He made tremendous strides in this technology. Before he could develop his first prototype, he fell out of a window. Mark Tomaron, a physicist, patented a technology called a star drive that has supposedly used zero-point energy. In 2009, he developed a working prototype, yet shortly after, he died from an unexpected cardiac event. His research went missing. All of those guys have one thing in common.
That's the way the world goes. If you create an invention that threatens a major industry, you're likely to get unalived. Makes me think of Stanley Meyer and his water-powered engine. There was a TV show. It was an offshoot of the X-Files called The Lone Gunman. And it was a fantastic show. It featured some side characters from the X-Files, that have a magazine where they investigate conspiracies and government cover-ups and things of that nature. And in one of their episodes, they investigate Stanley Meyer. And they find out, of course, he was killed by the government or a faction of the government working in collusion with big auto tech. As the lone gunmen get to the end of the show, they actually find the engine that Stanley Meyer had left behind. They contemplate whether or not they should reveal this invention to the world, knowing that their lives would be at stake, but ultimately they decide it's better to keep it under wraps. And this is because with water-powered engines comes more availability, becomes more traffic on the roads, everybody's got a car. That's more damage to the environment, that's more damage to our own infrastructure, to our roads. So ultimately they decide to keep it under wraps and go find a different story. If you haven't seen The Lone Gunman, I definitely recommend checking it out. The Lone Gunman became a famous show because they kind of predicted 9/11. The pilot episode of The Lone Gunman featured a plot where a rogue faction of the government, in order to try to maintain arms munition sales across the world, was going to use a remote control technology to hack into an American Airlines flight and then crash that flight into the World Trade Center. And this TV show aired just a few months before 9/11 took place. In the show, they said that it began as exercise, an anti-terrorism drill that then became live, which also tracks with what actually ended up happening on 9/11, where we found out that they did run anti-terrorism drills about planes hitting buildings in the months and weeks leading up to the actual day of 9/11. Just something to think about. On that note, we'll go ahead and wrap up today's video. Thank you for joining, and please remember to hit the like and subscribe button and leave me a comment if there's a certain topic you want me to cover or a video you want me to review. On the topic of The Lone Gunman, I'm going to go ahead and leave you with a clip from the episode that aired shortly before 9/11. See you next time.
We know it's a war game scenario, that it has to do with airline counterterrorism. Why is that important enough to kill for?
Because it's no longer a game.
If some terrorist group wants to act out this scenario, why target you for assassination?
Depends on who your terrorists are.
The men who conceived of it in the first place. You're saying our government plans to commit a terrorist act against a domestic airline?
There you go. Indicting the entire government as usual. It's a faction. A small faction.
For what possible gain?
The Cold War's over, John. But with no clear enemy to stockpile against, the arms market's flat. But bring down a fully loaded 727 into the middle of New York City, and you'll find a dozen tin-pot dictators all over the world just clamoring to take responsibility and begging to be smart-bombed.
I can't believe it. This is about increasing arms sales.
Mm-hmm.
What the heck's that? Is that what it looks like? I think it is what it looks like.
What does what look like?
Modem protocols. Remote access. Somebody on the ground's flying your plane. Buyers, your flight's gonna make an unscheduled stop in exactly 22 minutes.
The corner of Liberty and Washington. Lower Manhattan.
World Trade Center. I'm going to crash the plane into the World Trade Center.
I'll tell the flight crew.
Lanley, can you override the flight control system?
I'm working on it. We've got manual override.